am Clare Davis and I am back with Mental Health Chats, and today I've got the lovely Aaron Singleton with me. Hello Aaron, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you, Claire?
I'm very well, thank you. And just tell everyone, where are you based, Aaron?
So I'm based out in near Reading in a place called Basingstoke.
Oh, I know Basingstoke. I go there all the time. Cut from the M4 to the M25 through Basingstoke. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So this month we're talking about being under pressure, having more resilience and perseverance. So we're looking at how to build and retain a team that actually thrive under pressure. And I've asked Aaron on today for a reason. And the reason is because of his experience. So Aaron, would you like to tell everyone all about your experience and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a recruitment consultant that focuses on the cybersecurity industry, and even more niche than that in the Internet of Things and operational technology space, where staff is hard to find with a very particular skill set, and retaining teams and molding teams to be successful is a really key thing at the moment.
It's so key because staff is hard to find across the board, but especially in your industry. So let's first have a look at what does it mean if a team actually does work together, but also work together under pressure. What does that mean?
From my experience, it means that there's a clear goal, and that
Yeah.
there's something that everyone can all collaborate over together, and be cohesive in achieving every day, whether that is, a 30-day plan or like a 120-day or a yearly plan. As long as everyone is focused on something that they all believe in, that sort of cohesiveness, regardless of differences or, backgrounds, whatever it may be, that whole thing they can work on together really makes that big difference. And then when things do get difficult, because they believe in that project or that thing to achieve, they all sort of get together and are quite resilient about what they're aiming to do as well.
I love that. I love what you said is there's a clear goal to work together. That's key. And what I've found in the past with people who come to me is initially they're sort of thinking about individuals who need to be resilient. But if we can be resilient together as a team, that's so important. So we both just mentioned the shortage of skills in so many areas, especially the area that you're recruiting for. So it's so important to hold on to those valuable team members, especially the team members and the teams who are resilient. So what can leaders actually do to ensure that they keep those team members who work really well, have built continuous relationships, and keep them on board so that they keep a resilient, strong team?
Yeah, I think from the beginning, before you even hire someone, you need to really qualify, not if they're just a good fit for the business or if they're a good fit for the role, but also qualify them characteristically, in a sense. What do they actually want from a business? And it's not things like free gyms or free snacks, because yeah, it's a that's a commodity in a sense. What you really need to understand is what do these people actually want. What is actually going to get them out of bed in the morning, and it's more personal than offering a small incentive. For them, it might be something to do with their kids, or it might be something to do with having a little bit of time on a Friday to spend time with their mom. It could be anything. Um, so I think leaders really do need to consider that, especially in this day and age. The whole mentality shifted from generation to generation, especially in the Western side of the world, where people are more attentive to their work and lifestyle balance with their personal lives. So their
Mm.
values have slightly shifted. And there is obviously, within a lot of businesses, there's a lot of space between generations and who's leading and who's coming in now. So it's really important that they consider more than, benefits as such.
That's absolutely key. And you've read a few of my blogs, I think, because I've written quite a lot of blogs on the difference in generations and what are motivating for the different generations. And, we've got to consider every generation here, from the Gen Zs right up to the baby boomers, what really motivates them. And I love the fact that you've mentioned, and being a recruiter, you obviously question on this so well, but mentioned on the motivators, because anyone who understands Maslow's or Hertzberg's motivation theories, they understand that what actually gets them up in the morning is what are the motivators? What you've mentioned with the gym memberships, etc. If they don't have those, they become demotivators. But they don't necessarily motivate people to want to go to work and love going to work. They just demotivate them if they don't have them. So that's absolutely brilliant. And that goes with something else that I work really hard on with my clients, and that's positive intelligence. And through positive intelligence, it's all about helping teams become more resilient and persevere through difficult times. And we've had a lot of difficult times over the last few years. So what do you suggest to the C-suite, to leaders who are going through these challenging times to help them get their teams to persevere and be a lot more resilient?
I think leaders, from my perspective and based on what I experience in recruitment from speaking to people that are looking to more often than not leave where they are, they sort of just forget about being a leader isn't always about just barking orders and making people do things. A lot of the time people just want to see leaders jump on the front line with them, do the hard graft with them, if not more than them, and lead by example. So when things do get tough, often or not, people feel like they're being blamed, or they feel like, they're being overworked or overloaded with extra information and things that aren't really necessarily their fault. And they feel like leaders aren't necessarily taking on the responsibility, but they're more offloading it to other people.
Yes.
And I know people that are maybe unhappy at where they work, but they won't leave because they have a good leader. And there's a phrase that often gets thrown about people don't leave leaders, they leave businesses. I'm no, sorry, they don't leave businesses, they leave leaders.
Yes.
And I think it's very, very true. There are people that move, especially in sales where I work. If the leader that they like working with in sales moves to a business, I guarantee they take at least 50, 60% of their team with them. And that goes to show how influential leaders can be if they do the right things and lead from the front line, set an example and basically make sure that their team are looked after in every sense, even when things get tough.
I absolutely love the fact you mentioned that statistic. It's actually 75% of people
Oh, really?
their leader, their manager, not the actual job themselves or not the actual business themselves. And, it is, and that example you've given, if one of your leaders leaves and everybody loves that leader, they're going to be knocking on that leader's door and saying, take me with you, take me with you. I want to go, I want to go. And I've seen that work so many times. And I actually left a role because of my manager leaving many years ago and went to that manager's organization. I've done it myself. So that's an absolutely brilliant example there. And I think it is a case that, we all have our tough times. We all have our tough days. We all have our tough months, targets, etc. And if we can work together through those resilient times, and if you've got a really good leader who leads by example and brings everybody on board, that's great. And you mentioned something really interesting. I remember one of the only courses I went on when I first became a manager was on delegating. And it was a case they just told us to delegate everything. So we delegated everything and all the horrible jobs and everything. People resented us for it. So in being a leader, what we want to do, especially in challenging times, is show that we're willing to pull our sleeves up and work with the team. Definitely.
Yeah. I think the best example of that in my experience is when I worked on a bar.
Yeah.
And when things are busy, team leaders will stand around and walk around the floor and pretend like they're doing things, when in actual fact the good team leaders are the ones, oh, you're busy there, let me take off this like horrible piece of work, or let me do the really difficult jobs, or let me do most of the close down, or I'll do this difficult thing whilst you go and do this instead.
Yeah.
That for me is the first hand example, and bar work's the worst place for it. When a team leader leaves, they go to another bar and then their team goes and then that bar is in the mud. So yeah, all super relevant in whether it's bar, cybersecurity, or whatever fields. These skills are applicable to anything.
You've given us so many insights, so much good information there. Thank you so much, Aaron. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to meet you. I think it's actually great that you've got surname that not everybody would have. So would you like to tell people where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Aaron Singleton-Martin. I am the only one in the world.
Yeah,
So I shouldn't be too hard to find. And an email address is and phone numbers all on my LinkedIn. So it's by far the easiest and quickest way to get hold of me. And if you're in IoT, OT, or cybersecurity looking for a role, send me a resume via email or just drop me a message. I always get back to everyone, regardless of where you are in the world.
that is fantastic. Thank you. So it's Aaron Singleton-Martin, not Aaron Singleton-Mart. Aaron Singleton-Martin. There's just not enough characters on Zoom for you.
It's a long name.
So, yeah, long name. So thank you very much for all your wise words and take care.
Thank you as well, Claire. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.